I struggle with, just speaking,
Mm.
and listening, just trying to like I can't this doesn't come natural to me. I have to
Mm.
think about it, or I have to
Mm.
look it up, like, trying to actually just speak naturally. I kind of
Mhm.
struggle with that. バイクに、乗り、大好き、乗ります。はじめまして、アメリカから来ました。オハイオ州クリーブランド出身です。妻は日本人です。前は沖縄のアメリカ軍基地で働いていました。沖縄は安全な場所で大好きです。趣味はバイクに乗ることです。祖父母はイタリア移民でした。
うん。
父はアメリカで生まれ育ちましたが、イタリア語を話しました。私はイタリア語を話せません。
うん。
すみません。が、父はイタリア料理を教えてくれました。
うん。
母はドイツ、イギリス、アイルランドなどいろいろな新種が混ざっています。以上です。よろしくお願いします。
あ、ジャックさん、ありがとうございます。どんなイタリア料理が一番好きですか？
一番、
うん。
あ、パスタとラザニアとナス、肉詰め、
好きです。
好きです。
うん、好
好きです。
きです。あと、チャックさん、バイクが好きって言ってましたけど、どんなバイク乗ってるんですか？
ローライダー、ハーリー・デイビッドソンです。
おー、すごい、かっこいいですね。あと、チャックさん、沖縄に住んでますけど、沖縄の何が好きですか？料理とか。
カツ丼が好き
うん。
です。
カツ丼、いいですね。カツ丼。うん。
沖縄そば大好きです。
うん、美味しいですよね。うん、ありがとうございます、チャックさん。
Feel like learning Japanese is too damn hard for you? Stop slaving away at grammar, words, and spelling. Now there's a better way to learn how to speak Japanese like a normal guy. Welcome to Terumi's podcast. Let's learn Japanese in just 2 months with Terumi's learning method.
チャックさん、Welcome to my YouTube channel. How do you feel?
元気です。
元気よかった。ありがとうございます。チャックさん、my listeners doesn't know you at all. So can you actually tell me who you are? Where you from? What do you do? And why you live in Japan?
Well, I'm from America, and I first came to Okinawa, Japan, in 1981 when I was in the Air Force, and I spent 4 years in Okinawa, way back when I was just 20 years old,
う
and
ん。
I loved it so much. And 10 years later, I came back again a second time, and I was in the military again, and I did another 5 years in Okinawa. And then after I retired from the military, I moved to Ohio, and then I moved to Hawaii. Wanted to come back to Okinawa, and they had lots of opportunities for civilians to come work in Okinawa. So I came back here in 2016, and I don't think I'll ever leave Okinawa this time. So.
I see. So Okinawa is something, it's really special place for you. So like from the States and visiting Japan or living in Japan is a huge life differences, and culture wise, language, even the food and people. So if somebody is planning to stay in Japan, what do you think what is the huge differences, and what is the hardest part, and what was actually the exciting part?
I think the hardest part when I came here the first time was not being able to communicate with your family, because back then we didn't have phones, or we had to go to a place where you had to call the operator, and then they would
Mm.
call you back like 15 or 20 minutes later, and then they would connect you to your family, and it was always a collect call, and it was very, very expensive. But beyond that, just being able to experience the Japanese culture pretty much free because the military brought us here. It was an opportunity for me to, learn the culture of Japan. And I've done this in many different countries that I've, went to. So
What makes you actually stay in Japan forever? It's leaving your country. Your country, the States, but also you decided to stay in Japan forever. What was actually the key to decide this? Living forever.
Okinawa is safe, it's
Mm-hmm.
cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I can live comfortably here, and you don't have all the dramatics of America that you see today, the protesting and the politics, and it's just we're very comfortable to live here.
What about like a communication part with local people? Like, can you tell me your learning experience?
Yeah, the first two times I was in Japan, I knew the basic, konnichiwa and Ohio gozaimasu and the very basic. I never
Mm.
studied Japanese. The second time I was in Japan, I actually didn't work with any Japanese people, so it was strictly American. So I never really had an opportunity to
Mm.
really speak on a day-to-day basis. And then actually, when I retired 2 years ago, that's when I actually started really studying Japanese. And so
Mm.
I started with a private school,
Mm.
and it was initially just me and one other person, and we were learning through the typical textbooks, no Nihongo, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the first 6 weeks were basically learning. I kind of prior to that, I kind of taught myself hiragana and katakana to be able to kind of read it, and then that was a lot of it was kind of more focused on reading and writing and learning kanji,
Mm.
and I couldn't really like comprehend it. And they were focused on JLPT, and I had
Mm.
no idea what JLPT was.
Mm.
So then I realized that the class was basically focused on passing the JLPT test.
And so, Chuck-san, you found our school, Japan Language Factory. Tell me, how did you find us?
I've tried so many different, you know, websites and different apps and different courses, and I've, you know, thoroughly, searched the internet, and I've seen your YouTube videos, and I've looked at your YouTube videos, and I was like, like, oh, you can learn Japanese in 2 months, and I started, and I mean, I watched a lot of your videos, and they were kind of fun to watch, and I watch a lot of different videos, and
Mm-hmm.
it's it was interesting. So
Thank you so much, Chuck-san. So, our approach was totally different. How was the experience?
it was great. And so at first I was like really nervous, but then your instructors, they didn't really have like an outline of what they were going to teach, kind of just like a focus. And the first thing they taught was to be able to introduce yourself, and not just hi, I'm Chuck, how are you doing. It was to give a little bit about where you're from, what your hobbies are, maybe a little bit about your family, and so that was kind of cool that they kind of tailored it to your situation.
So, if you actually just to compare those different learning approach, what is the huge differences compared to Japan Language Factory from the other school?
Well, again, I mean, the school that I went to, I can pretty much read and write hiragana, katakana, maybe about 400 or 500 kanji. But with Japanese Language Factory, they're able to prepare you for those conversations by having these daily or weekly lessons where you could prepare, and they're focused on actual conversations, not reading and writing or JLPT. It's just strictly conversations. You're not really, most of the people that are in the class don't really understand the grammar. They're just slowly over time they kind of get it, like, oh, okay, that's why you say it like that. But it's just strictly conversations, and that really makes it speed up to where you can start communicating with Japanese people on a day-to-day basis. Right now, like once a month, I have a Japanese writers group. They're all
Mm,
Japanese, and it's fun because I can communicate with them somewhat. I can understand them.
amazing. With the hobby group, that's a perfect actually opportunity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And also, Jackson, you see a lot of people actually want to move to Japan. Do you have any advice to those people who want to move to Japan, or who's already start living in Japan, but it's really difficult to start learning what they should do, and about the lifestyle in Japan, also the language wise? Do you have any advice to those people?
Well, I mean, I guess the biggest point would be, if you really want to enjoy Japan, you have to learn the language. And in order to learn the language, you can't be afraid to make mistakes, and you have to just go out there and just put yourself out there and just speak to them, because most Japanese people aren't afraid to speak to you if you speak to them. They're not going to make the first attempt to speak to you mostly, but um, if you speak to them, they're going to try to speak to you, and they'll correct you and say, say it like this. Or so I think you want to be able to, if you're going to stay in Japan, you definitely want to learn the language for one. And then the second thing is to, like, really immerse yourself in the culture, and just you know do things that they do, and try the food and the different go to the shrines and things like that. I think it's very important.
That's amazing. All right, so Jackson, thank you so much. Are you expat? Live in Japan? You started living in Japan, you're super excited to communicate with locals. You can enjoy traveling, meeting people. And now you start using this textbook and you feel like, wow, that's so many. Elementary school textbook, another elementary school textbook, and how many hours should you study? Let's think one more time. In order to communicate like a normal guy, you can do everything in the basic everyday life. Should you finish all those textbooks? Otherwise, you won't understand what they're talking. You cannot express yourself, anything. First of all, there are always two ways to learn languages. One is documentational language, the other one is conversational language. It's like, once upon a time, grandmother and grandfather are living somewhere. Or, hey, what's up? How's it going? Which is conversational. What is the most effective way to learn how to speak Japanese? Textbooks can't talk to you, so you cannot improve your listening skill and pronunciation, how to communicate. So why Japanese children can speak Japanese so quickly? Because they are learning conversational Japanese. The good news is, in Japan Language Factory, we have a specific learning structure to improve your conversational Japanese. So you can join the conversation, you can understand what they're talking, you can respond quickly, and express what you are thinking. If you want to be able to speak Japanese as soon as possible, join our free consultation to figure out what is the fastest way to start speaking Japanese.